I walked outside my school entrance. The school looked small, old, and rustic, and warm. Not out of the ordinary when I first saw it, but as I walked into the entrance, the school played a different tune. As I was in the entrance, the registry was run by an old man who looked like Santa Claus. If Santa Claus was working for the School of Magic. The old man looked at me, and he spoke in a deep, jolly voice. Oh ho ho, Emily Parker, we've been expecting you. Before I could say a word, he gave me a card. I read the card, and it said Emily Parker, D12, with a photograph of my face. I walked deeper into the building, wondering where my classes are. While searching for my classes, I was fantasizing about doing magic. Because of this, I got myself lost. Man, finding my classes is like finding a needle in a haystack, I thought to myself, probing around the school hallway. I began running. I was worried that I might miss my class. I felt like I was running for an eternity. But then I ran into a girl with purple hair. We both fell on the floor with a crash. Hey, watch where you're going! The girl in purple scolded me. Sorry about that, I replied to her. The girl in purple had a witch hat, and long purple hair, and a dark purple robe. Excuse me, do you know where D12 is? I asked nervously. We don't walk to class, we teleport to class, the girl in purple laughed. She proceeded to take some chalk out of her purse and began to draw a pentagram on the floor. Afterwards, she took out her wand and drew a line to the pentagram like a fuse to a barrel of dynamite. She stood in the middle of the pentagram and pointed her wand downwards to the pentagram. I was filled with anxiousness, and I jumped into the pentagram with her. The girl in purple screamed at me with horror. This thing can only hold one person! But it was too late. With a burst of black flames, Emily and the girl in purple disappeared without leaving a trace, or even leaving a mark on the floor. Boom! With a flash of light merges into the classroom. Desks get blown to smithereens. Ships of wood fly everywhere. Finally, the chaos ends when two people emerge from the smoke of the clouds covered in dust, who were Emily and the girl in purple. The students around us, covered in splinters and bruises. Luckily, no one had died. The teacher spoke with a snake-tongued hiss. Lizzie, what's the meaning of this? Lizzie gave me a paralyzing glare for embarrassing her in front of the class. Lizzie apologized to the teacher for making a faulty pentagram. She didn't want me to get expelled for pentagram hopping. The teacher spoke with a soft voice. That's right. It's all right. The teacher spoke with a soft voice. It's all right. It's all right. Accidents happen, especially for first years. But don't make the same mistake again. Let's use this mistake as a great learning opportunity, and how useful spells can be. Let's use this mistake as a great learning opportunity. How useful spells can be. Let's use this mistake as a great learning opportunity for how useful spells can be. With an excited voice. The teacher took out her wand, and it was large as a dagger. The teacher took out her wand, and it was large as a dagger, but thin as a sewing needle. She attached a ribbon to it. Let's start with the first spell, a recovery spell, the teacher announced. She waved her wand into a star-shaped motion. The room began to glow. Bits of pieces of wood chips began to reassemble. Splinters flew out of kids' skins. and the bruises began to heal. 3 seconds in, the room looked like it was untouched, and the class was dismissed. My first week was boring. I began learning spells, spell cards, and pentagrams. The reason why it was boring because I had to draw circles hundreds and hundreds of times. I also got my own dorm, but I was unlucky because I had to share it with Lizzie, which made it kind of awkward. I also shared my dorm with another girl. Her name's Kai. She was friends with Lizzie. She was very friendly. One day my teacher announced that we were having a spellcasting contest. One day my teacher announced that we were having a spellcasting talent show. I wasn't interested at first, but she announced the prizes I got interested. But when she announced the prizes, I got interested. A skill uniform, a personal broom, and a book of spells. I would love to get my hands on these, because I couldn't afford them. After class ended, I immediately signed up on the sign-up sheet. After class ended, I immediately signed up on the sign-up sheet in the hallway. During free period, I decided to give the library a visit. The entrance was like it came out of Dracula's castle. It was narrow and treacherous, like the Oregon Trail. I looked around and I noticed each category of books had their own theme area. During my free period, I decided to give the library a visit. The entrance was like Dracula's castle. It was narrow and treacherous, like the Oregon Trail. I looked around and I noticed each category of books had its own themed area. Books about ferocious animals had a rustic fireplace and a huge lineup of animal trophies, with info tags about the animals under the animal tag, with info tags under the animal heads. At the alchemy section, the whole floor was a grass patch with a bunch of vegetation and a waterfall that trickled down a dirt hill. There was also a herb garden for students that were running out of ingredients in the alchemy class. The necromancer section was decorated with skulls that I hoped were faked, but I wouldn't be surprised if the school had a memorial crypt for dead famous teachers. The necromancer section was decorated with skulls I hoped were fake, but I wouldn't be surprised if the school had a memorial crypt for dead famous teachers. Anyways, I found the spell section. The whole area was illuminated with floating blue candles and a thin layer of water that was running down the floor like a large fountain. Surprisingly, my shoes did not get soaked. I spotted the book of my interest, How to Make My Own Spells. The book was 10 feet high in the bookshelf. How the heck am I supposed to reach that? I took out my magic training wand, and I tried doing a levitation spell in the water to boost me up. Surprisingly, the spell worked, but not what I expected. The water rose. Surprisingly, the spell worked, but not what I expected. The water rose up, but instead of pushing me, it went through me, soaking my whole body. Can this day get any worse? As I was sitting in the water, at the corner of my eye, I noticed a magic levitating ladder. I immediately facepalmed myself. When I stood on the ladder, it levitated me upwards towards the book. I dried my hands on the dry area of my shirt, and I took it. During recess time, I brought my spell book with me to read it. I noticed the play structures, and a chill of fear shook in my bones. I noticed the play structures, and a chill of fear shocked my bones. The whole school looked like if Dr. Seuss wrote Harry Potter fanfiction. The whole school looked like it was made from. The whole school looked like if Dr. Seuss wrote Harry Potter fanfiction. The playground in the school looked completely normal. I walked towards the playground in caution, and who knows what the school will throw at me next. I sat down on the swing and I read it. I sat down on the swing reading the book. Lizzie and Kai noticed me reading the book. Hey, Emily, what you reading? Hey, Emily, what you reading about? They began to run towards me. I see you're practicing the talent show, said Kai excitedly. How did you know? Said Emily. We saw your name in the sign-up sheet, Kai explained. We also signed up too, said Lizzie, butting in. You want to see a spell I've been working on? Said Kai excitedly. Sure, I'd love to see your spell, Emily said cheerfully. Kai waved her wand in a circular motion. She pointed her wand to the ground. A pentagram suddenly appeared under her, and Kai disappeared in thin air. What's left was her black robe. I got up from the swing set and I inspected her robe. Where do you think she went? Then someone grabbed me from my shoulder and I screamed. My throat is too sore, so I can't scream, sorry. Screamed Emily. Oh, did I scare you? Kai giggled. I just teleported right behind you, said Kai with a grin on her face. You just surprised me, that's all, Emily pouted. Lizzie, what spell are you practicing? Emily asked curiously. It's a surprise, Lizzie announced. Emily went back to reading her book. 3 days before the talent show, at dusk of the night. 3 days before the talent show, at dusk of the night, I drew in my sketchbook for spells I can be capable of performing. I remembered myself levitating the water from my spell book. I remembered levitating the water to get my spell book. I looked outside the window and I saw a pond reflecting the blue night sky. I snuck into the dark hallways, using the dark shadows to hide myself. I went outside the school entrance. I looked up to the sky and it was dark. It was dark blue, lit with the bright yellow stars. The moon shined through the hazy blue fog of the night. I made it to the pond, and I took out my backpack and I unzipped it. I then took my magic book out from my backpack. It was easy to read. The stars shine so bright that the stars shine so bright it was like a nightlight. I placed my book on a dry area of the grass. I then took up my training wand. I waved my wand in a circular motion. Droplets began to rise. I lost balance and the droplets fell back into the water. I performed the spell again and again and again. I practiced all night, probably 1,000 times. During the morning, I woke up laying in a patch of grass. I got up and stared at the pond. I noticed my wand was laying right next to me. I picked up my wand and tried performing the spell again. During the spell, droplets began to rise from the pond, and they began to form a ring around me. I did it. I completed my first spell. Today is the day of the talent show. Students from all grades filled the assembly like sheep. As I was waiting, the principal came out from the came onto the stage, and the principal came onto the stage, and the principal yelled out, "Welcome!" I can't scream. "Welcome to the annual Junior Witch Talent Show, where we showcase all our young apprentices' talents. So without further ado, enjoy the show." The lights turned off like a black void. There was 10 seconds of silence. The air became cold. The spotlight suddenly turns on, and in the middle of it was a girl with a gun. In the middle of it was a girl with a wand that looks like a gun. She was standing beside a large mirror and holding a boombox. The girl was well dressed. She was wearing a top hat and a tuxedo and was wearing tap shoes. She turned on the jukebox and the song Still Dancing played. She took out her wand and shot up into the air. A green lasso-like substance shot out. She began to twirl it. She looked at herself in the mirror and winked to herself in the reflection. She lassoed her reflection out of the mirror and she began dancing with her own reflection. The girl's tap dancing was amazing, and at the end of the song, the reflection waved goodbye and walked back into the mirror. She then bowed down to the crowd, and the crowd cheered. The stage turned pitch black again, and it was Kai's turn. For her act, the spotlight shined on the stage. Kai waved her wand and points it to the ground. A pentagram suddenly appears under Kai. She disappears in the air, and people from the crowd were confused. Where do you think she went? I spotted her in the crowd, and the crowd laughed. It was Lizzie's turn. There was a dark purple haze on the stage. She took her wand and moved it in front of her. She moved it left and right, and she became invisible. Because she was holding a candle, she turned invisible because she was holding a candle. The crowd clapped. I was the last person on the stage. I was very nervous. The spotlight shined on me. I saw hundreds of people staring at me. I freaked out a little bit. I closed my eyes and I took a deep breath. I took my water bottle and I poured it on the stage. This confused a lot of people. I took up my wand and performed the spell. Droplets began to rise up, and I began to spin them around, and I took my wand and moved it around like an orchestra. I ended the show using a healing spell on the water. The water exploded into glitter. The crowd cheered, and I collapsed on the floor from exhaustion. As we bowed down to the stage, Lizzie and Kai hugged me as they cheered. Oh my god, that was amazing, Emily. Day after this talent show, I got to see who won the talent show. I came in second place. I think I did pretty good for a beginner. 2 weeks later, I was sitting in my dorm room studying magic. I heard a knock on the door. At the door. I opened the door and it was Kai holding a present. It had pink and green stripes with a bow on top, and it had a name tag that said, "From Emily to Kai." To Emily from Kai. "Good job on the talent show. I wanted you to have this," said Kai with a large smile. "Oh my god, thank you," said Emily. Emily opened the present, and what was inside was a blue handcrafted witch robe and a witch hat. There was a piece of folded paper. I unwrapped the piece of paper, and it said, "I love you." Emily burst into tears and hugged Kai. The end.